This is the vlog for August 26th, and it's over. My one-off Dungeons and Dragons adventure with some friends from work is done. I'd like to call it a success. Everybody seemed like they liked it, and they seemed like they wanted to keep playing, but the vibe I was getting while the adventure was going on seemed very bored. I got like one of the guys, and it might have just been the chair he was on. He had basically a ottoman for a chair. It was comfortable, but it had no back. So when he leaned back, he was actually leaning off the back side of it, and it just looked like he was going, "Oh, can we just get this over with?" But he seemed afterwards like he was like, "No, I liked it," but it was a little weird, partly because I'm used to playing Dungeons and Dragons with people who really get into character, who really sort of get into the character they've created and socialize in that. It in part because I spent a lot of time with LARPers when I was back in college, and so I'm used to being in character. I took a lot of drama classes early in my middle school curriculum, petering out later and finally quitting when I got to college when I realized how much like focus I would have to give it to do anything with it. I just decided I would do writing instead. But I like sort of improv play acting, and I like cosplay and I like Halloween and just the sort of taking on another role and getting into it just for a little while. And I always figured Dungeons and Dragons was a place where that excelled, but I also understand that I am not in the norm, not typical in feeling that way. Well, in general, maybe amongst D&D people, that is more of the norm, is that you get into character when you're doing what your character is doing or saying what your character is saying. And certainly, Critical Role, a bunch of voice actors with I'm sure a lot of drama classes in their backgrounds totally get into it, but these players did not. Matt Mercer actually has a one of his DMing tips is a how to get your players to role play more. So I might need to watch that if I want to keep going. I'm not sure this current group is the best fit. A couple of the players are really good. Some of the players, it's not like they're bad people. It's just D&D might not be their game. They might want something a little more crunchy, a little more tabletop board gaming, or video gaming even. Whereas Dungeons and Dragons works better as a sort of freeform storytelling experiment. So I don't know. I've decided I'm going to take a break from it though. It's been just this one adventure and all the Dinostria stuff that I've been doing. I've put so much energy into it that I've just sort of burnt out on it a little bit. Um, and I've neglected my novel. I haven't really done anything to trim it down. I've been working on D&D so much lately. I just need some time to do some other stuff. Some time to play some games in September and October, and time to sort of get my life in order. Maybe get that other room cleared out so we can make a nursery for my future niece. But it was fun. It was fun doing it. The grand reveal at the end was that this whole adventure was actually based on the film Bedknobs and Broomsticks, movie released in 1970, very much in the same style as Mary Poppins, with live action and a few animated segments interspersed. And I thought that it would work well as an adventure, and it sort of does, but it also sort of doesn't. It works better if the players are, I think, more familiar with the game and understand, how they're being moved about, what's happening. When the players are new to D&D and you're trying to teach them Dungeons and Dragons while they're playing, it might be a bit much. I think I should have started with something a little more focused, a little more this happens and then this happens, and it's all quite logical and nothing super fanciful is happening. And I'm not trying to just move things along at a breakneck pace so that we finish the game session in under 4 hours, which we almost did today. So all told, the session, this adventure took 9 hours. As I predicted, combat definitely slows everything down, especially a big combat with lots of individual pieces, such as the final battle. Bedknobs and Broomsticks culminates with a battle between an army of Nazis who are invading the coast of Britain and an army of animated suits of armor from medieval times that are propelled by magic into battle. And to spice things up a little bit, I added a Tyrannosaurus and the dragon skeleton in a museum that comes to life. And that might have been just a little much. Although it ended up with a really cool finale. The T-Rex actually ran away, leaving the guy controlling it to be essentially swallowed by the dragon skeleton. So, well, not quite. Trapped by the dragon skeleton so that it could be killed, so that the bad guy could get killed by one of the party members. So, that part was good. The preamble leading up to the battle, I spent a lot of time getting it set to music and incorporating a lot of stuff. And one of my players just kept interrupting me with somewhat inane questions and couldn't tell that I was trying to do all this in time to music, and she was not amused by the fact that it was all based on a Disney movie, I think. Anyway, we'll see what the future holds, but for now I'm looking forward to some time off from thinking about Dungeons and Dragons. Except in a much more... I might do some writing. I might do some fan fiction, as it were, set in this Dinostria world that I've created. But that's about it. I don't need to constantly come up with adventure stats and outlines for things. I can just, do more what I'm used to, which is just narrative. Creating interesting situations and dialogue between characters. So... I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my evening, but World of Warcraft comes to mind. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow, and until then, I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.